Alright, so there's a million and one videos on how these work, but it's stupid simple. It's literally a spacer. Take the bolts out, put the spacer in, put the new bolts in. These are MPC extended top hats. So right now, you can see the difference. The shock ends at the top hat right now. If we install this, everything stays the same except where the shock can travel. First step of tightening this down. I don't know the torque spec on this. You can look it up. All right, it's been a long day. Some of the footage of this video is going to be mismatched because I was honestly too busy to film. But we had the picnic event. It went great. Thank you to everyone who came out, especially thank you to anyone who brought food, all of our VIPs. It was great meeting a lot of you in person who I've otherwise only known from internet interactions. And yeah, we got the Integra to the venue and home successfully. I may or may not have torn a side skirt off along the way. I may or may not have tested the durability of and impact resistance of my centermost front jack point and including my subframe. That's for another day though. But the car made it there and back, no issues, started right up all the time, and it's looking hopeful for Gatlinburg. So there are only a few more things to wrap up on the car now. One of which will be color, two of which would be tint maybe, but other than that we're getting pretty close, so stay tuned. I had one mishap where the wheel adapter came loose and my wheel almost flew off on the highway. I don't know if it was my fault for not tightening. I don't know if I final torqued the adapter down and that's why it came loose, or if it came loose from vibration. Either way, it was pretty scary. I didn't have the forethought to film while I was encountering it, so I don't have footage of it, but nothing was broken, nothing was hurt. I was fine, and that's all that matters. I have something funny today. I don't have a horn button in this car yet. I don't really know if I need one. I'm required to say that you need a horn in your car in the state of Maryland. But as a placeholder, I'm going to do something I've done before, but I've never documented before. My friend Brett showed me this years ago. And it's pretty funny. Hold on. All right, here's my steering wheel. Obviously, nothing in the middle there. Did you know the diameter of a standard horn button is the same diameter as the cap to a can? If you didn't, now you know. All I did here was cut the top off a drink, and then we're gonna basically make relief cuts around the base here, flatten it out, and put it right there. Ow, that's hot, god damn. All right, now all I'm gonna do is cut out the spots where the bolts sit and then make some relief cuts, and that's it. Go. Cut the holes. Now we just flatten it out and sandwich it in there. Ta-da! You can see how now it just gets smooshed between those two, and it just sits there, easy peasy. And there you have it. Bottle cap, horn button, excuse me. Now you get to have all your friends say they're gonna pop your cap whenever they're in your car. All right, just put the hood on. Pretty smooth. Now this hood looks worse, but trust, it's better. There's less dents. That one has a lot of denting in it. The red one had a lot of dents, so while the clear is in way worse condition, that's all gonna get sanded down anyway. So structurally a better hood, and the car is starting to look one color, which is kind of weird to see for the first time, but yeah. All right, I can't even lie to you, I've not filmed a lot because I'm kind of racing the clock right now and I just cannot do both. But I wanted to show you how far I've gotten. So I'm sorry if it's a bit of a shock, but here it is. All right, yesterday we plastied all the trim black. So now the trim's finally black like it's supposed to be around the car. And as you can tell, I started sanding. I filled in all of the badge holes and with Bondo, metal reinforced Bondo, sanded them flat. This trunk, I guess, used to have a spoiler. I don't know. Once I started sanding, I started to see the holes, and you can obviously see the mark where the spoiler used to go. This would have been for the harness. So flattened all those spots out. Started sanding the roof. The car looks like a freaking gobstopper now because the paint was so bad. The silver was so thin that if you even touch it, the fucking red starts to show. But this is where we're at. In a bit here, I'm going to water blast as much of the loose clear off as I can and then scuff the quarters. Oh, I also filled the quarters. There's a little bit of Bondo here that it separated and started to rust under, so I sanded it back to the metal and then Bondoed over it. All things considering, the rot on the quarter panels is pretty minimal. It does go under. I'm not worried about that. There's nothing I can do in the amount of time I have, so light little bit of Bondo over where the metal was, and then you can see there's some rot. But for this year, it's actually not a lot of rot. It's pretty good. The hood is a little bit concerning just because of how much fading clear there is. So again, under these lips here, I'm going to try to get the pressure washer to blast off most of that before I sand. I'm about to pull the headlights out. I need to scuff. This fender's paint is good enough that I can wrap it. This one is not. You can actually probably hear how coarse it is. So I'm basically just trying to knock that back and smooth it over for two reasons. One, so that the wrap looks better, doesn't have imperfections in it, and two, so it can adhere better. So I'm just using 400 grit on everything. So knock this fender down. I might have to pop out the trim so I don't damage the trim that I just painted. But yeah, I'm gonna pull the headlights off so they don't get hurt. We tried to pull the taillights out yesterday and the seals are so rotted that they're stuck in there. So I'm gonna try to wrap around them. If I can't do it, I'll risk getting them out, but I really didn't want to crack the housing pulling them out. So they're really stuck. Pulled off the sun visor and sanded the roof, obviously. But yeah, so that's where the car is right now. And got a lot of pieces and bits and bobs laying around. I'm gonna polish up the muffler, throw that on tomorrow. Obviously the bumper's off to get wrapped, and I'll have to sand back the top of it. I think just the top. The rest of it's probably gonna be okay, but obviously that needs to get pressure washed too. So yeah, catch you in a bit. All right, progress report.
I might get you. I'll try.
This sucked, but I sanded down the whole hood. I don't think it's gonna come out perfect. The clear coat's honestly really bad on this, like even worse than I thought. Don't judge my sanding. I have no idea if, based on looking at this, if you can tell how it's gonna look. But yeah, I don't know if burn through is necessarily good or bad, but it seemed like in the places that I did that, it leveled out the flaws a little bit better. So I don't know, fuck it. But the whole car is pretty much prepped. I've sanded most of the spots that I think might be problematic for wrap, and just finished rinsing it off. Going to do one more rinse, like hand wash. Gonna soap the whole car down and rinse, and then before I apply, I'm gonna do isopropyl alcohol and everything. So yeah, but that's where we're at. And yeah, the wrap came. actually get a good look at it in the sun here. The gray is really pretty. And I actually really like, you can't see much of the pink here, but I really like that the flake in the gray is like really big compared to the pink. I think that'll look good being on the bottom half versus the top half. So very exciting. I don't know if I actually documented this already, but new shift knob is in there to match the rest of the car. And yeah, pretty excited. Yeah, it's weird seeing this car somewhat flat, and shiny even. But yeah, so I'll let this dry off, run inside, and then grab some soap and soap the whole car down, and then rinse one more time, and then alcohol.
All right, what's up? Status report. We sanded the whole car a lot. We degreased the whole car with Dawn Blue, and now every panel we're wiping with isopropyl. I just have 70%, and we put it in a spray bottle. So sprayed the panel, wiped it down, let it dry. We're gonna do a test on this panel tonight. We're not wrapping more than this tonight. We're just gonna do the trunk lid, make sure the wrap's tacking correctly to the car, make sure we're not getting weird lift because of the way we treated the car. Fingers crossed we don't have to sand more, because that's gonna suck. I really don't think we will. Tinybot, which is the brand of vinyl we're using, is known to be pretty tacky and pretty thick. So it's pretty forgiving in that sense, because little imperfections won't be as big of a deal because of how thick it is. And with it being super tacky, it's actually gonna be good for this application because the paint is obviously so scuffed from previous owners that the big concern was that the adhesion might not be great. So some people actually will use tack reducer on Tinybot, which will limit how sticky it is. Because the only downside of that, it's gonna be harder to get air bubbles out once we're putting the vinyl on. But with how square the car is and how 90-degree basically everything is in the car, I'm not super worried. It's just going to be important that I'm doing it with someone, or I'm able to use magnets to get the first lay pretty accurate so that there's not a huge discrepancy once we're in the middle of the panel. So I'm going to go unwrap the vinyl real quick. It's still in its roll, and we're going to grab the piece out and do a test piece on the trunk.
Okay, I'm sorry that this is getting filmed in a really sporadic way with lots of gaps, but we're all kind of working overtime on this and just don't have time to be filming as we go as much as we normally do. So I just wanted to show you the progress on the wrap so far. We did the hood yesterday and the roof. The trunk lid's already done, so the whole top of the car is pretty much complete. Pretty happy with it. There's definitely some spots where you can see my sanding marks underneath where the clear coat was failed. But, you know, it's a wrap. We're going for better, not perfect. So not super upset with it. The color is really nice. The pearl is really nice in it. Very happy with the pink color so far. So we're doing the rear finish panel today. I'm gonna try to do the top halves of the doors and finish both mirrors. I haven't decided if I might do an inlay for the upper just to simplify. I know you can do it off the quarter panel, but just to simplify it a little bit, I might try to do the fenders. They're going to be a little bit tricky just because they're pulled, so there's a lot of curve going on there. But really trying to bang out as much of this by myself today so that when everyone else gets here, we can kind of collaborate on doing the quarter panel and maybe the lower portions of the doors. But yeah, so that's where we're at. All right, hi, Future Sam here, post wrap job, and I just wanted to say we're missing a lot of footage. I've said it a bunch, but we we really didn't film much. We probably worked about 50-60 hours in about 5 days getting the wrap done in time. So there's not a lot of video, but there is a lot of photos. So I'm going to put them all right here in like a little montage. I'm really sorry. If we had more time, I would have loved to do a very detailed step-by-step of how we wrap the car. If that's something you'd like to see, we may be wrapping another car soonish. So if that's something you really want to see from us, I mean, there's a lot of wrap tutorials out there, a lot of wrap videos. Rap videos, that's funny. But if you want to see something like that, let me know in the comments, and we will try to make it happen. But yeah, enjoy the montage. All right, what's up, guys? The wrap is done. I just wanted to give you a little walk around and kind of talk about maybe a few points of it. We barely made it. We have about a day left, maybe less than 24 hours. But we made it. That's all that matters. It's not perfect. I'll show you the flaws. I'll show you the good. And yeah. All right, so here's the car. Mostly everything's still there from before we wrapped it. The hood came out okay. Like I said, you can see the imperfections. They actually don't show up on camera great, but you can kind of see where it looks a little ripply, especially in the shadows, like maybe over here. That's just my sanding marks. Also looks like I have a new dent right there, maybe. I don't remember having that, but whatever. Yeah, so the big thing that was hard was it being a two-tone wrap. You're gonna be able to see if I get close. I ran seam seal tape in between everywhere. That bubble's new. In between everywhere that there was the wrap overlaying, just to help keep that from peeling up. I did use knifeless tape in some spots. Things like the door handle didn't come out perfect just because we didn't have time to take the door handles and stuff like that out. Like I said, taillights wouldn't even come out, so we couldn't do that. There's a few seams where we had to go around places like cutouts, and it would create kind of a bubble and a ripple. We did end up doing an inlay on the door right at the seam of the window. Not super noticeable. We had the same thing happen when going around the sunroof. One inlay, or kind of where it matches where the bubble was. So same with back here at the antenna. One little line. Back here, the only major mistake that I made was the rear. I didn't cut the piece long enough, so I ended up having to do two pieces in the rear. So the bumper has an inlay from here to here on both sides. That was the only major mistake we made. Took the mud flaps off, took the side skirts off. I redid the side skirts again. I don't remember if I really talked about this. This is just garden edging from Lowe's. You can buy for like $7 for a full roll that's long enough for both sides. All I did was alcohol and adhesion promote the car and scuff the side skirts, and they use 3M double-sided tape. And then this is just like window trim you can buy on Amazon just to fill in. There's like a little gap, and when the underglow's on, you could see it seeping through that. So I just ran that down the whole line of it. And honestly, for side skirts that are going to hit the floor a lot and kind of get abused and probably need replacing every year, that's an easy solution, and it looks pretty OEM to me. So I'm not too mad about it. I also ran seam seal tape up here around the trim. This trim is originally black. It's just plastic. The rest of the trim was plasti dipped. In hindsight, we should have plasti dipped the trim afterwards, because the wrap, when we would set the wrap down, like back here especially, it would start to pull the thinner parts of the plasti dip up. So this needs one more coat of plasti dip. Not really the end of the world, and only noticeable from a distance. And the car is not perfect, so having an imperfection like that doesn't really bother me. The front bumper was by far the hardest part of the car. Doing all of these like dips and where the lights go in and then it gets thin here, that was really difficult. Thank goodness I had Blake all week. He came over every night and helped me with the car, and the car would not have gotten finished in time if it weren't for him. So I really want to make sure that everyone knows. He did the mirrors actually, so if you like the way the mirrors came out, make sure you let Blake know that he did a great job. And yeah, I would not have been able to do half this car without his help. So he killed it. It took us both working on the bumper simultaneously, probably about as much as it took to wrap the other, like a half of the car. So the bumper was the last piece we did, knowing it was going to be the hardest. It was a little easier because the front bumper came off. The rear bumper we did not take off because you had to get under the tail lights to get the bolts out, which also would have made the finish panel a lot easier. The hardest part was getting it up underneath the finish panel once everything was wrapped, so that's not perfect either. But like I said, not aiming for perfect. The trunk's kind of weird. a lot of the weather sealing on this car doesn't have a gap. There's no gap to tuck. So this is just flush basically. So again, ran seam seal tape across just to try to keep debris and water and air from getting under there. And then the only other flaw that I really ran into was back here on this quarter panel. I don't know if I didn't clean it well enough, or I mean, that's what I'm assuming. But the wrap really didn't want to stick on this ledge all the way down. So you can kind of see it wants to lift right here. It's not really because I ran tape over it. But we put a really thin piece of double-sided tape right here, which you can see in the reflection, which was meant for like steering wheel covers. So it's really thin. It still shows up a little bit, but that was literally because from like here to here, just at this ledge, did not want to sit on that at all. So that panel will probably eventually need rewrapping, which isn't, again, the end of the world because we have enough wrap to redo a panel or two. We also plasticated these black, and when we wrapped it, it pulled all the wrap off. So I have to go back and re-plasticated these corner pieces at some point. We wrapped the wiper as well and went to a one wiper setup versus the two. So one arm, one big blade, swings all the way over and back. But yeah, other than that, the car should look, like I said, relatively the same. I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, for the amount of time we had and for our skill set, I think this is kind of the best we could have done. And the quality of the wrap's honestly really nice. I've already had a couple people see the car and ask where I got it painted. Granted, it was either over the internet or in person from pretty far away. But if you're not really super adept at knowing what's wrap and what's not, Tinybot definitely, I will say in my experience, having used Avery and having used 3M, this is the clearest looking wrap, the flattest looking, most reflective looking wrap I've ever dealt with. I mean, you can see even in the gray, like the reflection is really clean. And it helps that the car is relatively flat too. This is the only other flaw, while I'm thinking of that, we had with this one, to keep lifting. So my solution to that was to trim it back and then heat it really hot and push it back down just to kind of get rid of any memory the wrap might have had, and that seems to have done the trick. While we were doing the wrap, I also took a day and put this exhaust on. I got this Gretty axle back muffler for really cheap on Facebook, and it's a legitimate, I don't know if it's an SP1 or an SP2, but it's a legitimate Gretty muffler. It hangs a little too low, so we're gonna have to work on that. Ideally I'd like it like higher, but it does what it needs to. The car's actually a little bit quieter with it on, which is nice. So that was the only other thing I think that we did while we were wrapping. Everything else should be the same. And yeah, so that's the car. Thank you guys for watching, and wish us luck. The last episode of the build will basically be us taking it to Gatlinburg and driving it around, showing it to people, going to meets, taking photos in the mountains, etc. I'm really excited. It should be a great time. I'm a little bit nervous to tow for the first time, but I'm sure it'll be okay. The Armada is a tank, or the QX, excuse me. But yeah, so that's that, and we are excited to show you the media we get from Gatlinburg. Dropping a like and a subscribe and whatever else, all that bullshit helps the channel a lot. Leaving comments helps, but really we want to hear from you guys. We've amassed a lot more followers than we really anticipated very quickly, so I know a lot of you may not be up to date with the car, might not know the car's history, etc., etc. There's a lot of backlog of videos to watch if you don't know about this car and its story, and there's a lot of other cool videos to watch too. But we want to hear from you. We want to make stuff that's relatable for you guys. There's plenty of media out there for supercars and stuff that none of us can have, so having content on the channel that's relatable to you guys and inspiring is what's most important to us. But we only know what's inspiring you guys if you let us know. So yeah, thank you guys as always, and I will see you in the next episode. Peace. We are so back.
That wasn't too bad at all. That was like
No.
5-minute fix.
For 3 retarded mechanics in a dark parking lot in Tennessee in the middle of the night.